Basketball fans, welcome back. Today I just decided to go live today. Let's just talk about these games. So the Africa Women's Basketball League just kicked off yesterday. I was thinking of making a video, but today I just decided let me just go in live and just test out this new setup. I know I'll try to go live a couple of times so that I can just go to talk about these games. KP are going to play today against JKT, and yesterday KPA matched up against the JKL Dolphins, and the Equity Hawks they matched up against the Vijana Queens. So there's a very solid start from both teams. I'm gonna just start with the KPA game versus the JKL Dolphins. As you can see on the screen, Medina, she had a double-double of her own: 16 points, 19 rebounds, 2 assists, and KPA won that game by 10 points. And from the start, I made sure to watch this whole game and just look at it entirely. And honestly, if you ask me, I just feel I'm just happy to see KPA just go about things and they're able to win the games. And also, not to mention the previous weekend, the weekend before this weekend, the road to Bal for the men's team was very underwhelming, and we didn't have a good time to even celebrate things the way they unfolded, and they just got knocked off Bal. So the good thing is the women's team were up and they did not disappoint. Even with their new acquisitions, they had 2 new players I saw in there, and they played pretty well. They were productive, especially when it came to scoring the basketball. I saw Victoria Reynolds; she was there. She wasn't able to hit the shots consistently at the first half, but in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, KPA turned it up. I saw a situation where the JKL Dolphins their offense wasn't the greatest, especially at the first, but they were able to at least get the job done, and they kept the game close. And for some point, there were a couple of lead changes I saw. KPA were really somewhat a bit struggling in there just to find consistent way to score the basketball and be able to get consistent points. And somewhat they withstood that run at that time, and they just did the thing that they need to do, and it was very commendable. Because when I saw that, I was happy. Honestly, if you ask me, I felt happy when I saw this. And looking at the way KPA looked from the start to finish, okay, they didn't look that promising when the game started because the offense was just all over the place. A couple of turnovers here and there, the fouls, but the JKL team were really fouling at some point, and KP were able to
Mm.
go to the line, knock down them shots, and it was actually pretty good. But at the half, I saw a situation where the Dolphins team were just trying to cut that lead, and they just made the game really really close. But in the second half, I just have to commend KPA. They were able to get on their own, and not only were they able to pull away at the fourth, especially at the fourth, they didn't start the most promising, but when they were able to go ahead and finish up strong, that's one thing that I really liked and I enjoyed watching. And this is what guys gives me a bit of confidence, especially moving into such tournaments. I like it when I see them just trying to find ways to win the game. I know winning the game is important, but also just winning the game the right way is also important as well. And not even to take away from the win, because what I've seen in these tournaments, every win counts, and you have to find a way to be able to understand and be able to at least know what type of offense and what type of defense you need to set up, especially given the lineups and the way the dynamics of the game change. I'm quite confident. I'm quite confident in the squad. I feel like when you start off like this, you can be able to gain that confidence, get that momentum to be able to go ahead and win. and which is actually quite important, because regardless of like how you set up the basketball game, the tactics and methodologies, they are very important, but having like being a winning team is what matters. Okay, you can win the game, and it's not the greatest way like you can win, but one thing I've seen about these things, you just have to figure out a way to win, and you have to have go-to options. And onto the other side, okay, despite the win, there were a couple of things that I wasn't happy with, and not having like a clear, defunct like number one, number two, number three option, especially a number one option. Like, who's that person we can turn to get us a bucket? That is one thing that that's one thing that I saw that wasn't there, because you can have like your guards in there. Who are you going to go to? Are we going to use our guards to be able to like go in and hit them layups, draw fouls, hit a couple of threes? Do we have that? Are we going to work on the post? Can we get our small forwards, power forwards, or our centers to be able to like work the post and try to create, not only work and score in the post, but also create chances, find openings in there? Those are the things that I was looking at. And honestly, I don't know. You can play a lot of team basketball, but you need to have that, at least one guy, one person that can be able to like go in and just create their shot, and not only create but also create for others. You need a facilitator in there. You need like a guy who can be able to like get in and score. You need ladies who can go in there and just get a bucket, like no doubt, easily. So that's one thing that I saw. And the too much focus on team ball. Okay, it's actually good to play team ball, but just knowing who to like, who has to take those shots, because at some point I've seen a couple of instances where players just pass up even wide open layups. And not only on the men's team, even the women's team. When I saw this game against KPA, against the Dolphins team, you're seeing a wide open lane. When you see the lane open up and it's a wide open lane, I don't want to mention no names, because man, I just want to make sure this point just goes home. So going in there, you're driving into the lane has opened up, just take the layup. Just don't kick it out and try to be unselfish. Just, if you find a shot, you have to take it. And that's one thing that is actually missing when it comes to like us playing games. And if that is fixed, and I know it can be fixed, it's something that you can be able to work on it. It's something that this is something that can be a game changer. Just knowing who to go to. I know we're not going to have like a situation where the players on the team have not played like a lot of significant games together, but a portion of it. You can see the finals team, the playoffs team, and the finals team that finished number one in the women's division. It's not the same team that is here, because if you do a quick, if you just run down the roster, you can see there are a couple of additions. And as a coach, I know the expectations when it comes to like the players playing there, and having like the players that you brought in, and the justification of them being there has to be there, and that's the number one priority. Because you can have a situation where you have brought in the players and you're not using them, so you have to justify them being there, so you have to play them even if the fit is not the greatest. So I understand that it comes with the job. So the thing is, in today's game against JKT, they have to find a way to be able, KPA have to find a way to be able to like overcome and be able to like win that game. Because given like the team that they played yesterday, they really dominated them, and they were able to like find their footing and find their own in there. So I feel confident KPA can make their punch to the finals the same way they did last time, but finishing and winning the finals is their main priority. And yeah, I mean, KPA have what it takes. They have the tools to do it. They have the pieces to be able to like get there, and it's just a matter of just knowing what lineup to run and just knowing what sets to run, especially given the whole game the way it's panning out. And yeah, moving on swiftly to the Equity versus Vijana Queens game. I mean, the Equity Hawks, they had their own acquisitions of their own. I saw a couple of players who play for the ZTEC Sparks playing for the Equity Hawks team. I mean, it just looked quite kind of, just didn't feel right. I'm used to seeing some players play for the Zitex Sparks team, but looking at them playing and having those, having those jerseys and having those kits just didn't seem right. But anyway, I know in Zone 5 you have to make sure to like beef up the roster, which is understandable. You have to retool and add players that can assist you doing that. So yeah, I mean, the Equity versus Vijana Queens it was just a one-sided affair. Not much to say about this because it was a 30-point blowout, and there was no way the Equity Hawks are going to drop that game. And given like the way they were running in there, it was actually it was a given that they're going to win this game. If a team can be able to like match the threes and be able to like defend well, and there are too many steals going in there, it's actually quite difficult for them to win the game. So there was not much to talk about when it came to that front, because the Equity Hawks did some things flawlessly, especially when it came to like dominating, making sure to score the basketball, go inside. They were attacking a lot inside, and the results showed. But one thing that really shocks me a lot, especially when it comes to our top teams, KPA and Equity, given this situation, is our inability to score the three ball efficiently and consistently. We don't have very good shooters. KPA have brought in a couple of players who can shoot the rock pretty well. I've seen Natalie is not able to shoot the ball consistently, and she's very streaky, and majority of the time she passes them up. But when she tries to make a three, it might go in, it might not, but it's very streaky and you don't know what to expect. Victoria, she's able to like knock down that three, and she was actually pivotal and be able in her ability to shoot. So if she's able to like find her spots pretty well and be able to like shoot the ball, it might really help us in the long run. And looking at even the Equity team, I'm not seeing a lot of 3-point shooters in there. I'm looking at players who are just over relying on going inside, and when that is taken away, our teams really struggle, especially in the half court, because in Kenyan basketball we dominate in transition, but when it comes to like half court sets, and when the defense are set up in the half court, we are actually average or below average in the half court, and it nearly ends up we end up buffing up a bad inefficient shot and just wasting that possession. And if a team notices that we are very poor and weak on that, and they just wait for us to like chuck the basketball and give them the ball, and they're able to like beat us with the thing that we use to win the games. So that is one thing that it's not a good look at all, and this is something that needs to be worked on, and needs to be worked on comprehensively. If it's half court sets, I know 3x3, we've had like a couple of players excelling very well in 3x3, and 3x3 just makes sure that we're able to like play the half court pretty well. We've had a couple of players in the Equity team and the KPA team. Namely, on the KPA team we had Hilda Indasi. She has played in 3x3. Victoria Reynolds has played in 3x3. Madina has played in 3x3. So even then they played in the 3, and that trio played in 3x3 basketball last year in the Birmingham games in the UK. We didn't forget. So they need to know like how to play in the half court, and they need to guide the other teams to play in the half court, because you can't say like we're below average in the half court and you have 3 players that they played somewhat well in the half court. Okay, the results don't tell the whole truth, but they have some half court experience and be able to like be able to like exploit the defense in there. And also on the Equity side, you've got Marianne, you've got Mary Lisa in there. We have players that have played pretty well in the half court in 3x3 basketball. So the assumption is they should know what to do, especially when it comes to like playing the half court, and they should know what to do, especially when it comes to half court offense, and should guide the other teams. And I must dare say, should also dictate the tempo in which like they are playing, and they have to like guide everyone. So that experience that they've gained from last year and this year should come in use, especially when it comes to like this type of contest. We have to show like we have some edge in there, and we have also some players who play for the national team. in both teams. So there's so much experience in the roster. I don't expect them to fumble the ball, and I don't expect them to, like, cause meaning careless turnovers, and they have to be taking care of the basketball. That's a given. That's something that needs to happen for them to be able to, like, get to that point where nothing of that nature happens. So yeah, I'm kind of optimistic. I feel like if either team, I don't want to say both teams, but either team must be able to, like, do some significant damage to the other teams in this context, because given, like, the level of competition you're seeing, Sporting is no longer there, and they won, and they are like the most formidable force. And I've just been looking at doing some scouting, and I feel like REG might be the test that can be for both teams, KPA and Equity. If you can be able to beat REG, both KPA and Equity, I would feel very confident in our abilities to be able to contend, especially in the Africa Women's Cup, which is right around the corner, is slated for December. So yeah, I mean, it's actually quite good. I'm just waiting. I'm just optimistic to see what's gonna happen, and I'm just waiting on that. So yeah, if you guys like the video, make sure to leave your feedback down in the comments on what you think, and I'm out.